Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm the owner here at the Clay School, and I wanted to talk to you today about wedging. Wedging is a skill that really has to be built, just like throwing pots on the wheel. So don't get frustrated with yourself, just keep practicing. Wedging is important because not only are you getting the air out of your clay, but you're also aligning all the particles back up the way they need to be lined up so that your pot is as strong as it can be when it's thrown on the wheel, or rolled out as a slab, or whatever you're going to do with it. So I just wanted to show you a cross cut of a piece of clay before it's wedged. This is recycled clay, which does not have the air taken out, and even though you can't see any air pockets cut, what you can see are little places where there is air trapped, and you can also just see the unevenness of the way that the clay particles are lined up, if you can see real closely. But one of the best ways to teach wedging from the beginning is what we call ram's head. And if you have a decently small piece of clay, not probably over 2 pounds, this method is great. What you want to do is kind of like maybe adjust your stance so that you're leaning like a lunge a little bit so that you can move back and forth easily. And the clay is going to be pushed down and forward in the same motion. So you're not pushing straight down onto the table, and you're also not smearing it across the table by pushing forward too much. You're pushing down and forward. And then you're going to pivot, pick it up and pivot it in the palms of your hands. And the way I like to teach people to keep their hand position steady is to make sure your thumbs are always pointing toward the ceiling, and that way the clay won't slip out underneath your hands and become a flat piece on the table. So you're going to pick this up and pivot, push forward and down just a little bit. Do the same thing over and over. And you can see where the clay is starting to crack here because it's not, the elasticity hasn't been engaged because the clay particles need to get pushed back together and aligned. So we're just going to pick up and pivot, and you see how I'm lightly picking up with the bottom part of my hand so that these ram horns are going to pivot in the palm of my hand. So I'm working up here by the ears of the ram, and you'll see that facing toward me is the rest of the face. So this is what you should see facing you. So I'm going to turn so that the camera can kind of see things from my direction. So I'm just in a lunge position. I'm pushing forward and down. And as you do this, what's going to happen is this ram's head is going to work its way down the table, which is totally normal. And then once you get down to an uncomfortable place, you'll just pick it back up and put it back where you started. Action. So you want to do this many more times than you might think you need to, just because it takes a lot of rotations to get to the clay that's in the middle of this piece of clay. You want everything to have a chance to spiral around and go through this motion. This is actually, you can see right there where one of the air bubbles is popped, so air came out of there. So it just takes a while for it all to come around and get compressed right here. So another thing I like to do is turn it sideways after a while and start the process over from a different direction. I would say for a piece like this, maybe you want to count to 50. And when you're all done, what you can do is roll your clay towards yourself in a way that doesn't trap any more air, but pushes all the clay back together so you can use it on the wheel.